Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Unique Peace. Today, I'm so excited to be joined by the inspirational speaker and teacher, Kute Blackson. He wrote The Magic of Surrender, Finding the Courage to Let Go. I love this book. He has also written You Are the One, which I also recommend. And he travels the world and he inspires us all to be better than what we think we are by igniting who we are. So, everybody, welcome, Coot.
Thanks for having
Hello.
me. Hello, hello.
Hello. So, you are based in LA now, but you grew up around the world. And according to your story, you grew up in Ghana and London primarily.
Yes, I was born in Ghana, West Africa. My father's from Ghana. My mother's Japanese. I grew up in London, and I've been in the US since I was 18, and sometimes part-time live in Mexico. So I'm from everywhere and nowhere, a citizen of the world. And it's interesting. As a child, I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere, and that pain of not feeling like I belonged really drove me to find out, like, ask the questions: who am I, and where do I belong, where do I come from? And I think that's what put me on the spiritual path at a young age. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm a citizen of the world.
And that's wonderful because we should all feel like citizens of the world.
Mm, mm.
So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
and when you came here to the States, I
Hmm.
know that you went through a very challenging period,
Hmm.
becoming and learning who you are and how to inspire others. You went from inspiring others at your father's church to coming here in the States and kind of walk us through how you became you in that journey from your travels to the States to discovering, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big question. I think it's important that people know, like, as a young boy, that's really where it started for me, in that I grew up seeing, like, my first memories were seeing blind people see and deaf people hear and people stand up out of wheelchairs. My first memories as a young boy was seeing a crippled woman standing on, crawling on the floor. She picks up the gravel, the sand that this man walks on, wipes it on her face, and stands up. And so week after week, I grew up seeing the same man look at a person in a wheelchair and say, "Hey, stand up. You're not sick. Hey, open your eyes. You're not blind. Hey, throw your crutches away." And so you could call these miracles. And this was my father. He was considered the miracle man of Africa, a very mystical man, a very spiritual man, because he also went to India in the 60s and early 70s and had a awakening experience in India at the same time. And so when I was age 8, I began speaking in my father's churches. He had 300 churches in Ghana, a huge church in London, 4 to 5,000 people every Sunday. So I began speaking in my father's churches. And when I was 8, I started speaking. When I was 14, I was ordained as a minister. And my entire life was basically carved out for me. My entire life was pretty much scripted and set for me. But I knew that when, like, all of a sudden one Sunday, my father announces my son is taking over. And I knew that this was not my path. I knew that this was not my true calling and destiny. And so I think, like many of us, I was too afraid to speak my truth. I was too afraid to tell him that this is not what I wanted. My fear was, if I spoke my truth, then I would be alone. I would be outcast. If I spoke my truth, then I would lose love. And I think many of us, we allow fear to stop us. We allow fear to hijack our voice and our freedom. We're afraid, like, if you know who I really am, you may not love me. And so we hide and we betray ourselves and we dim our light in order to make other people feel more comfortable. And so for 4 years, I kind of tried to fit myself into a box of being who I thought the world wanted me to be. And I became miserable in the process. So when I turned 18, um, I was meditating one day and I felt a very strong calling to go to America. It was like, go to America. And the reason America is because I would go to my father's office. He had literally 1,000 books on his bookshelf, and the self-help books, everyone from the Eastern mystics, Krishnamurti, Osho, to the Western folks, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, Les Brown, you know, Louise Hay. And I became very obsessed with trying to find out the answers to life and reading these books. And so all of the authors that I read about happened to live in the US, specifically Southern California, specifically LA or San Diego. And so I find these people and learn from these people and go into these fields. So when I turned 18, the journey really began because the calling was undeniable. I could no longer like negotiate because now I'm like, well, I'm not going to go to university because I figured if I want to help people live, I need to live life myself. And I think that when your soul calls you, when your soul guides you, it is often not convenient. When your soul guides you, it often doesn't make sense to your mind. When your soul guides you, you might have no idea where you're going, but I really believe if you follow your soul, you'll always end up in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing with the right people, even though the path that you take may not be the one that you most expect. So at that moment, I knew what I had to do, which was have that conversation with my father. I looked into my future and I saw that I could follow the expected path. But if I don't have myself, and if I don't have my truth, and if I don't have my own soul, then what kind of success is that? And so I spoke to my father. We did not speak for 2 years. It was deeply challenging, incredibly difficult. I wish I could tell you I was overjoyed and happy and thrilled. And on one level, I was because I felt free. But on another level, I felt devastated. And mm, I felt heartbroken because I felt like on one level, I let my father down, but I knew what I had to do. And I said a prayer one day in that moment, feeling as though I was literally free falling in the middle of the ocean. And I said, okay, God, if the vision you've given me is real, I need a sign. I need to know. I need an answer. And that's when someone handed me a magazine called The Economist. I felt chills in my body. I looked in the back. It said the American government is giving away 55,000 green cards in the green card lottery. And I knew I was going to win. And so, long story short, I ended up winning a green card, and $800 came to America, knowing nobody in the country. And that began my path. I went and found many of the teachers and the mentors and the authors I'd read about, studied with some of them, went to some of their seminars as a young kid. And a couple of years later, uh, I got to the point, I won't bore you with all the details, but I got to the point where I felt like I hit a wall. And I was basically guided to go and walk the Camino. I was tired of reading the books. I was tired of going to another seminar. And I wanted to know truth for myself. I wanted to know God for myself. I was tired of reading someone else's interpretation of reality. And so I was guided to walk the Camino, which is like an 800-kilometer trek in northern Spain on a vortex energetic line. And so I walked the Camino. I went from the Camino. I went to Thailand. I went to Israel, ended up in India. And it was my time in India. I spent a few months in India that really transformed my life and cracked me open to a whole nother level of understanding, a whole nother level of awakening and understanding my purpose. And it was from there that I came back to the US and 20 some years ago just began working with people one on one and no real idea what I was doing. But one person showed up, another person showed up, and then slowly I was guided to create my own methodology and way of working with people, and people's lives like radically transformed. And let's say people started coming from around the world, and it just evolved and grew and grew and grew. Small groups, larger groups, and to best-selling books. And so, here we are. So that's the short version.
And I love that short version, as well as something I read in the Magic of Surrender, and something that is a good reinforcement for those of us who feel like we're going to hit that wall. And just a good thing and a good reminder is
Mhm.
the little section where you said two versus 200. and you had that one seminar and you were expecting a lot of people, and only two people showed up.
Yeah, two people. One of them was my friend.
And
Mhm.
she called you out. And I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm reading this and I'm going, I like her. Because we all need that friend
yeah,
who calls us out and's like, I'm here.
yeah.
You're going to do this now.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I have my own program as a self care coach, and I hosted a webinar, and I had like 6 people register and only 2 showed up. But I had the same mindset that, okay, these are the 2 people who are supposed to show up and
Hmm.
join me on this journey tonight
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
just do that webinar. And
Hmm.
so when I read that section, I was like, oh, validation. That's awesome.
Mm, 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 mm,
Outside validation.
mm, mm.
So you've had all of these experiences, and you've had the loss of your mom, the trepidation with your father, and you seem to always know when to come to peace. So, how do you personally define peace
How would I define peace?
for yourself? How do you personally define peace?
Mm, I think that I experience peace when I can be in acceptance of things as they are and embracing what is, embracing what isn't, is when I have peace. I think we suffer, you could say, which is the opposite of peace. We experience suffering when we hold this thought or idea that the experience that I am having is not the experience that I should be having. I should be having some other experience than the experience that I'm having right now. And so when we can really embrace that, well, the experience I'm having is the experience I'm meant to be having, and be in total acceptance of what is and what is happening, then I think we experience peace. Even if, like, peace isn't the absence of conflict, peace isn't the absence of, shittiness. Peace isn't like everything is perfect. Peace is when you can embrace life as it is and as it isn't, then you find peace. Because real peace is not outside. When we have this idea that, well, peace is because all these external factors. I have the soulmate, have the house, have the this, have the that, have the that, the money, da 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 da. Then what we end up trying to do is controlling everything in life to be a certain way in order for us to have peace. But everything in the external world, in the 3D world, is transitory and impermanent and always changing. So there is no peace out here in the world. This is the realm of duality, really. Interdependent polaric opposites. That's the nature of life. And so everything is always up and down, up and down, up and down, creation, destruction. So if your sense of peace is depending on events in the world, then you won't have much peace because you're just going to go up and down with the wind, with the stock market, right? With the weather. So for me, the true dimension of peace, also on that deeper level, is when you are like, true peace is within. And when you can connect with the dimension of yourself that is free, the dimension of yourself that is eternal, the dimension of yourself that is beyond changes, right? Then I think you find peace inside of yourself, regardless of what is going on outside. And then you're free. So I think on one level, peace is the total acceptance of things as they are and as they aren't. And the foundation of peace is recognizing that it's not an external thing, it's within. It's an inner dimension of your experience, connecting to your essence, your soul, more than anything. And then you can go into the world and be in the world that is constantly changing, and be peaceful within.
Peaceful within. So I think you actually answered my second question in
Oh,
how do you find peace personally? What are some of the ways you find peace? And you said acceptance, but are
yeah.
there is there
I would
anything?
say, I would say doing my best to accept things as they are, which is not always easy, right? It's not, because sometimes we want things to be different. Sometimes we're like, well, I don't want to be stuck in traffic. I don't want it to be that. I don't want the weather. And so any moment of suffering, if we step back and look at, okay, what am I resisting right now? Okay, what am I thinking shouldn't be the way it is right now, but it is. This shows you what you're resisting. The experience that I'm having is not the experience that I should be having. I should be having some other experience than the experience I'm having right now. Instant suffering, your peace is gone. Versus, well, this is the experience I'm having. And the quicker I can bring myself into an acceptance of this is what it is, doesn't mean you have to stay there forever. But when you can accept, okay, it's raining right now. I don't like that it's raining right now, but it is raining right now. So rather than complaining about it, feeling a victim about it, moaning and groaning about it, going outside, standing in the rain and getting wet, it might mean you accept it like it is what it is, and you go inside. It is what it is, and you take an umbrella outside. It is what it is. You go play with your kids outside in the rain and have fun. It is what it is, and you accept it, and maybe you have a family evening by the fire, by the fireplace, and play games and enjoy and use it for your highest good, and use every experience for growth and evolution. And so, yes, acceptance, that's number one. Looking at what you're resisting and letting that go. Because in so many ways, this is what I would also say as I look at it. We have this idea or this misconception that the world and things outside are why we feel what I feel, why we feel what we feel. Oh, it's a good day. The sun is out. I feel good. My husband and wife gave me what I wanted. Okay, I feel good. I feel happy because of you. I feel upset because of you. But if you really want peace, you have to realize that nothing and no one is worth your peace ever. Nothing and no one is worth your peace, and nothing and no one is actually responsible for your peace. When you free yourself up in that way and you take a high level of responsibility, it's powerful. You start realizing that you are the creator of your reality. Not that you create reality, but you are the creator of your reality. So then many times we lose our sense of peace and we end up suffering because of what we make things mean. So XYZ happens. Now we make that mean bad things. Now we make that mean not so great things. So now we suffer, we've lost our peace. When we realize that events in and of themselves really don't have any meaning other than the meaning we give them, it transforms your experience of reality.
Yes.
So events are kind of meaningless. They have no inherent meaning. No, but it doesn't really have any inherent meaning, because the same thing that happened to you, for someone else, they might think it's a great thing. The same thing that happened to someone else, they might think it's a bad thing. So is it the event that has meaning, or is it the way you're perceiving it? And so one thing that we have to shift if we want to have peace is to realize events don't have meaning. The meaning we give them is the power that we have to determine our experience of reality. And that is what we have control over. And that determines our peace or non-peace. And so I think there's a tremendous responsibility and freedom there. So that's one thing. Really intentionally choosing what you're going to make things mean, such that you can experience peace within yourself. It's like, oh my God, this person left. It's terrible. Or you could be like, okay, this person left. Okay, maybe universe is removing people that aren't in alignment from my life. Maybe God is working out something better. Like when things don't go according to plan, I always get curious. So I'd invite people. Often when things don't go according to plan, we get frustrated. Instead, step back, breathe, and ask yourself a question. What amazing thing could be seeking to happen in my reality right now? What even better thing or person is seeking to manifest in my life as a result of this thing or person clearing? And so I think when we can hold that perspective, it enables us to have more peace and equanimity and neutrality with what's going on. Because from the lens of the ego mind, which is conditioned and limited and doesn't see the whole picture, we're not able to see the uh, the entirety of a situation. We look at a situation from a very limited lens. So getting
Yes.
fired, oh my God, this is the worst thing. Well, maybe it's actually the best thing that happened to you, but you're just not able to see it now. But if you're able to see the whole picture, you'd have more peace. So often we don't see the whole picture. So stepping back and sort of looking at the bigger picture and trying to, it gives us a sense of having more, I would say, equanimity, you know. Yeah. And the other thing I do, I do have a practice of just meditating, because when we meditate, we go inside. When we go inside, we can connect with that part of us that is unchanging, that we can ground in that deeper dimension of our being, that gives us a foundation to be in the world when the winds of the world are blowing.
And I love that. And I also love when you say you need to take a step back and kind of look from the larger perspective, or try and look
Yeah.
from the larger perspective. I also like to take a step back and try and say, what is this trying to teach me?
Mm-hmm.
What do I have to learn?
Mm-hmm.
Because I do believe there is a lesson in the people that are brought to us and the situations that are brought to us, especially if they're challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, why am I resisting? Why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then bringing yourself to a moment of peace of like, okay, this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And you take a step back and try and see it from the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
And my big thing is, what is this trying to teach me? Or sometimes, what did this teach me?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, when you go through that breakup, or I left a very toxic job without anything lined up, and people thought I was crazy. But
Mm-hmm.
I look back and it's like, I couldn't have stayed there. And
Mm-hmm.
like, what did this teach me? It taught me to stand up and say, I can't be treated this way, and nobody should be
Mm-hmm.
treated this way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So coming to peace with that was a very good thing.
Nice.
So I love your perspective on, taking a step back and saying, okay, what am I resisting, and how can I
Mm-hmm.
make this, or be neutral. And I think that is a very hard lesson for everybody, is to
Mm-hmm.
just be neutral.
Mm-hmm.
And on that, how do you help others find peace?
I mean, what do you mean by that question? Because it's a bit broad. How do I help others find peace? I would say in all the ways all the ways I've shared with you. I mean, there's more, but is there? I don't know if there's something specific, because I do my best to shed light to some deeper realities of life, so that people can experience and have perspective on life. Because when we lose perspective, we lose our sense of peace and equanimity. I also create processes and experiences and seminars and live events that are immersive and experiential in nature, that are designed to help people peel away layers of their conditioning, pain, trauma, hurt, childhood stuff, so that they can release, heal, let go, and truly heal. Because I think when we are carrying residue of pain, guilt, shame, hurt, childhood stuff, it's hard to sometimes experience peace, even though intellectually we understand it, if we're carrying it within us. And then we go into life and everything triggers us because it activates the unresolved aspects of us. And so I create processes that are designed to help people become conscious and aware and heal and let go so that they can become more free and get lighter and lighter and carry less baggage. And I think when we carry less unresolved baggage, we become more peaceful because we are lighter, we feel freer, but also we are less triggerable and
Yeah.
activatable, so that there's more peace as a result. So that's just, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's a bit of what I do.
It absolutely answers the question because that is how, in some ways, you bring peace.
Yes,
You help others peel back those
those
layers. I
layers.
mean, all of us have those layers,
Mm-hmm.
or a good chunk of the humans on this
Mm-hmm.
planet have those layers
Mm-hmm.
that we've got to pull back, and we've got to see reality,
Yep.
as it is.
Yep.
And that may not be pretty. It can be hard,
Mm-hmm.
but to have those processes in to help others peel back and face and their fears, their traumas, what life has brought them, and then make them feel lighter, that does bring them peace.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that totally answers the question. And speaking of experiences, you have something very um, exciting coming up in July. If you want to talk about
Sure.
how this experience
Uh-huh.
encompasses the peace process.
Yeah, I'll just say a little bit, which is this July the 20th through the 31st. I do one of my core signature events. It's called Boundless Bliss, the Bali Breakthrough Experience. It's a 12-day experiential seminar training without walls, where I use Bali as the backdrop, the seminar room, to facilitate transformation. It's a very intimate event, it's maximum 18 people, and I unplug you from the world and take you within yourself. And really, what I do is over 12 days, I create a process that is designed to help you become truly aware and conscious of the patterns and blocks and layers of conditioning that you built up. And I take you through a step by step process that helps you release, transform, and heal many of these layers and free yourself, so that you can really access the power, the light, the wisdom, the creativity, the aliveness that is already inside of you, to bring that out so that you can then share that with the world and share that with humanity, share your gifts with humanity, and live the fullness of your purpose. And as a result, create more abundance and joy. And so for the last 13 years, I've done 22 of these intensive, life changing events in Bali. I think there's really nothing like them on the planet. They're very, very, very unique, to say the least. They have to be experienced. And I was told, uh, yeah, 13 years ago when I first created them, that there would be people that were destined to do them. And when they heard about it, they would know, they would feel it, they would sense it. And so it's been a incredible 13 years. This is the last year, 2024 is the last year that I'm doing these events. So July is the next one. People can find out more. I think you have the link there, boundlessblissbali.com. But in so many ways, we think that we're free. Um, but the moment you kind of take away someone's uh, take them out of their comfort zone, or take away someone's habitual routine, the freedom collapses. And so, what is real freedom? What is it to be truly free? The degree to which we're conditioned is the degree to which we really are not free. Often, many of us, we are creating life from the reaction to certain things that happen to us, from the reaction to certain things that have been passed down from our generations. And we're not even conscious and aware. We're just creating unconsciously the same relationships, manifesting the same relationships, the same dynamics, the same experiences. And so, to me, information by itself is not enough. to really transform people's lives. It's great, it's a start, but the true transformation happens when we go through an experience. And so the Boundless Bliss Bali journey is a really deep experience designed for those that are really like ready to heal, and they're ready to release, and they're ready for the next level of their lives. And so, yeah, July the 20th through the 31st, boundlessblissbali.com.
And I bet a lot of people, I mean, I've listened to the testimonials, I've watched the reviews,
Mm.
and it is a healing, very powerful healing transformation that
Yeah,
does
yes, yes.
a lot of peace to those who are able to attend.
For sure. For sure.
And I mean, you do that through this experience. You do that through your seminars. You've
Yes.
done that in your books. I really like this book. I
Nice,
love it a lot.
nice,
I
nice.
mean, you share a very powerful journey and some very impactful stories in your books, but specifically this one because of how it was guided to for you to tell the story
Mm,
in
mm,
your mom being there in
mm.
spirit,
Yep.
nudging you.
Yeah.
And it's very important for us to remember that
Yeah.
they don't leave us. They
Yes.
still guide us.
Yes.
And so for your mom to guide you to writing this book and telling this story, I want to thank her because it
Mm.
helps the rest of us
That's so
on
nice.
our journeys.
Oh,
And
thank you.
thank you for writing it, sharing
Thank
this.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
And I always like to ask what's in your toolbox. So whether it's a quick tidbit from this book or you are the one, when I ask what's in your toolbox, you've got say I put you in a scenario. So you're getting ready to get on stage and you
Okay.
notice that one of your people, whether it's a tech guy or somebody who's behind the scenes, is really stressed out. They need a breath. They need a minute. How do you quickly help them find peace in that moment? What would be a go-to
How would I help someone find peace in a moment?
in a moment?
Like if there's a moment,
In a moment. Every moment is I get what you're doing now. I
because
want
you
to
know, in
know
a
the
moment,
whole moment.
because you know, I don't think there's a quick fix. But if it was just like, okay, you only have a moment, I would say yes. Connect to the breath and breathe. You know, breathe in and exhale longer than you breathe in. Breathe in, exhale, connect to the breath, connect to the body, shoot into the body, scan the body. You know, I think many times we feel stressed and anxious because we're storing many feelings and sensations in our body. And so that is creating a stressed energy inside of us. So the physical container is stressed out, even though our mind might seem fine, but if the container is stressed, and so breath and scanning the body, when we can scan the body and notice the body and bring awareness to the body, many times things can and just bring ourselves in touch with the various sensations that might be going on in the body, because the body also processes so much.
Mhm.
Then we stand the chance of releasing and letting go of many things that the body is storing that can help us around stress and anxiety, because many times we don't realize that the body is stressed and anxious and not feeling peace, even though we're not thinking about it, but the body is processing so much. So if we can help bring awareness to the body and allow the body to just process by just experiencing our experience and noticing what happens and just letting the body release and move through things that it might be holding on to with our conscious awareness present to it, I think that's helpful too.
And I just want to thank Michael and the live stream of consciousness for joining us and being with us tonight. And I want to also ask you when you do your breathing, and I've had several practitioners come on and you do your breathing and you do your scans. How do you do your scans?
I think it's just, I like to keep it simple, just bringing your awareness to your body and just noticing the different parts of your body. I think that many times energy and emotion is trapped in the body, gets stored in the body. And when not processed, can create stress, dis-ease, pain in the body. And when we can notice sensations in the body and just be present with the sensation in the body without giving it a label and also without trying to get rid of it. But if we can just experience the feeling as a sensation in the body and just be present with it and notice what happens, many times the stuck sensation in the body can dissolve. It can dissolve, it can move, it can relax, it can clear when we can just be with the feeling as a sensation in the body without trying to get rid of it or without agenda. Often the feeling that is stored in the body will complete itself and dissolve, and there will be more lightness and more freedom. And so just scanning the body, noticing where you feel whatever you might feel and being present with it. Take the labels off and don't try to get rid of it. Just experience the sensation in your body without agenda and notice what wants to happen. And when you can just be with it, and which is a form of total acceptance, right? There's no resistance. I'm trying to get rid of this. It's like, no, let me just be with this as a sensation in my body completely. Then you are experiencing it. And when you're experiencing it fully, things often dissolve.
I've never thought of it that way. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And I love how you said not trying to get rid of it, just being
Yeah.
aware of it.
Yes. Yes.
And that is,
Because many times we're trying to like get rid of it, breathe it out, feel it out, move it out, energetically clear it out, get rid of it, NLP it out, something to just like get rid of that sadness. But if you can say, okay, wow, oh, I notice a tightness, some sadness in my chest, then if you can take the label off, experience the feeling as the sensation without trying to do something, but just be with it and experience it and notice what happens. Now you're really with it, and all feelings remain present until fully felt. And many times, because we're so busy trying to get rid of them, we don't actually fully feel it. We're trying to get rid of it so much. And there's the difference, right?
yes, yes. I've recently come to the understanding of just that. Unfelt or unrecognized, unfelt feelings are just going to keep manifesting and they're just going to keep
Mm-hmm.
coming back until you acknowledge and feel them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very true statement. And I thank you for sharing
Mm-hmm.
sharing that tidbit with us, for sure, because then that brings us back to the equanimity and neutrality that helps us find peace and center.
Yes, yes, yes.
And in in closing, is there anything that you would like to share with us about peace or being on this journey we call life?
There's no peace in the world, so don't look for peace in the world. The peace is within you. Even Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within. Most of us, we don't look within. We look in the house. We look for the house. We look for the car. We look for the Ferrari. We look for the Lamborghini. We look for the, out here. But everything out here is temporary and transitory. Everything out here is fleeting. And when you look for true peace in the changing, you will only experience more suffering. And so look inside. Most of us don't look inside. That's the problem. We look outside, and more money will bring me peace. Oh, A better body will bring me peace. Oh, new car will bring me peace. It's like there's nothing wrong with those things, but that's not going to bring you peace. Peace is your nature. Peace is what you are. We're just looking in the wrong place. Because at the end of the day, we will all die. You are going to die. I'm going to die. Jesus died. Buddha died. Mother Teresa died. Mandela died. Bob Marley died. Martin Luther King died. We're all going to die. This body is going to die. None of us know when that moment will come. We have no idea. I hope we live a long life, but we have no idea. And when we die, we take nothing with us. No car, no house, no nothing that we have accumulated, that we work so hard to accumulate to get us more peace. If I have enough money, then I'm going to have peace. We're going to take none of that with us at the end of our life. That house is not going with us. And so I think peace comes from knowing who you really are as an infinite being, as a divine being. When you know who you really are, that what you are is beyond the body, beyond this physical body. That what you are is never born, never dies, is an eternal stream of energy and consciousness that nothing can touch. Then there's an infinite peace that not even death can disrupt. Then there's a true dimension of peace that you know nothing can take that from you. Nobody can take that from you. And that is a deep freedom and a peace that you will have when you know that what you really are is eternal consciousness. Like that's the ultimate peace. Your clothes can change, your hair can change, your wrinkles can change, everything can change. But when you know that what you are is cannot truly change, that is a deep level of peace that is unshakable.
It is. Thank you. It is. Thank you very much. I want to thank Kute for joining us on this special edition of Unique Peace. I'm going to put him in the green room 1 second. And I want to thank everybody who has joined us tonight for this very special edition of Unique Peace. I will welcome all of you to check out Boundless Bliss Bali and that wonderful experience, as well as You Are the One or The Magic of Surrender, The Courage to Let Go. I highly recommend the books. I can speak to those. I want to get into this Boundless Baseball. Yeah, it sounds wonderful. I'm looking forward to seeing you all on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. for our next edition of Unique Peace. Good night.